my March TBR. I am once again being super ambitious, as I am every single month, but you guys should know by now that these are just potential reads because I do tend to mood read and not really stick to a TBR, but this is kind of going to give you an idea of what sort of vibe I'm feeling right now. If I had to describe my current vibe or mood in regards to reading, because I'm still in the middle of my 28 books in 28 days challenge, I still am leaning towards shorter books, and that means I'm either looking for some thrillers and really fast-paced reads, or I'm looking for some really quick fantasy reads, and in that kind of category I've been finding that YA fantasy series have been really good for me. I'll talk about all of that in my February wrap-up, of course, but that's what I'm kind of trying to lean towards, with a couple of bigger things in here as well. So here are the books that I would like to read in March. So let me just kick off with the books that I got from the library, because I need to read those the soonest. I don't think anyone has a hold on these right now at the time that I'm filming this, but because they are quite popular books, I feel like they're going to get snapped up quite quickly, so I want to read them towards the beginning of the month. The first book that I hope to read is The Tainted Cup, and this is leaning into the fast-paced thriller-y kind of vibe, because I believe in this one, even though it's a fantasy book, the characters are investigating a crime of some sort. Wesley Chu says that this is part Sherlock Holmes and part Through the Looking Glass. It says here that in an opulent mansion at the borders of the Empire, an imperial officer lies dead, killed when a tree spontaneously erupted from his body. Then it talks about contagions, leviathans, an investigator and her assistant. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. I know lots of people who have enjoyed it, and the second book is coming out sometime this year, I think in the summer. So now is a really good time for me to read it while I'm in the mood. The next one is also a book that I got from the library. It was just sitting there and I was really surprised, so I picked it up when I saw it, and that is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I do have this one from KU, but as I saw a physical copy, I thought I would pick it up. This is the third book in the Crowns of Neaxia series, and it's the first in a duology within that series. So this is the Shadowborn duet, book one. This one follows Misha from the first duology, who has gone off by herself. I don't know if the other characters from the original duology show up in this. I imagine they'll be mentioned, but this is Misha's story. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I really enjoyed the first two books in the series, and they are very fast paced for the most part. There were some iffy bits in book two. I have recapped the first book in this series if you would like to go and watch that at any point. I haven't recapped the second book because I'm kind of deciding whether I need to, because it's the ending of a duology and I don't normally recap series enders. But then the series is technically carrying on. So let me know if you want a recap of Ashes and the Starcrest King, and I can try my best to remember what happened in that. But I would really like to read this one, recap it before the second book in the duology comes out in August, I believe. And then the third library book is Heavenly Bodies. Again, this one was just sitting there and I was very surprised when I was able to take it out of the library. I honestly have no idea what this is about. I just saw some really lovely editions of this. I think it was Illumicrate or Fairy Loot that had some really stunning editions, and so even though this edition itself isn't that good in my opinion, I kind of picked this up as a cover buy. So the marketing has worked, well done. I don't really know what this is about. It says, you know, the most dangerous kind of villain, a woman with nothing left to lose. Something about stars and wrath and things. I don't really know, but I'm gonna give this a go because it's been quite popular lately, and I think I don't know if I'll enjoy it, but I would like to try and see what happens. So at the moment, I actually just finished a book called Ash Princess, which is an older YA book. This came out in 2018, and I've only just gotten around to reading it because, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm really into some YA action fantasy books at the moment because they are so fast-paced and I'm really enjoying them. And this one was a standout this month. I'll talk about it in my February wrap-up, of course, but the reason I'm showing this to you is because I have just ordered the sequels, which are Lady of Smoke or Lady Smoke and Ember Queen, so books 2 and 3 in the trilogy, and I want to read those in March before I kind of lose momentum with this series. So this is the first book, obviously. Really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars. So this is about a princess called Theo whose country was taken over by the Kaiser and his men. They came from a different kind of continent, island altogether, and Theo's mother was the Fire Queen and she was killed in front of her. And so Theo was captured by the Kaiser and raised in the palace and treated absolutely horribly. They tried to kind of brainwash her and get her to serve the Kaiser and his kingdom. And then at the beginning of the book, a rebel is captured and Theo is forced to kill him. And that kind of sets off a whole chain of events and a realization in Theo that she cannot just stay in this palace, she has to do something. As I said, I'll talk about it more in my wrap up, but this is a very, very good book. I got quite emotional. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, so I would really like to read books 2 and 3 in this trilogy. Another series that I'm in the middle of is Murderbot. So I'm currently reading Exit Strategy as I'm recording this, but it's only a tiny book. It's about 150 pages, so I'm probably going to finish this very soon. So I may be reading a different book in March, but I thought I would pick this one up to kind of represent the series, because I would really like to carry on with the series in March and not leave such a huge gap, because I read the first 3 books last year in February and March and then just didn't carry on with it. But I feel like now is a really good time because the show is coming out soon. I think it's coming out in May, so I'd really love to be caught up by then. I think I've got 2 novellas, 1 slightly longer book and then a full-length novel left to read. I've got them over there. Let me just grab them actually. I can't remember which order these go in, but I have Fugitive Telemetry, System Collapse and Network Effect. This one is the full-length novel. This one is, I don't know, it's almost full length, but still quite short. I don't know, it's just over 200 pages. And then this one is a novella. So I'll be reading something in this series in March and finishing it off or catching up with it. I'm really loving these books. I love the audiobooks in particular. The narrator does such a good job with Murderbot's snark. Really, really fantastic. So I've been hybrid reading these and I'm going to continue doing so. I'm very curious to see how the full-length novel turns out, because I think these work really well as short stories. Martha Wells does really well with them, and I'm curious to see how she does with the pacing of a full-length books. And then I have a few series that, or 3 series that I would like to start. The first one is one that I might start in February, so by the time you're watching this, I may have already read this one, but then I'm hoping to carry on with the second book in March. And that is Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is an urban fantasy mystery series, and that's why I want to pick this one up, because it's fast paced. It should be a really easy read. I've read the first few chapters of it and it didn't take long at all. Sorry, there's a sticker, I'm getting distracted. I know that this series isn't really for everyone. I'm not entirely sure it's going to be for me, but I'm thinking it's going to evoke some of the old urban fantasy feels that I used to love. So if I can get over Harry Dresden's sexism, I think he's sexist, then I think I might quite like this. And I really want to get involved in a really long series because I like to join in on hype, so that's why this one is on this list, maybe the second book. I've also put Lady of Darkness on the TBR because I was meant to read this a while back and I didn't. I have no idea what it's about. Oh no, I do, that's a lie, I'm just talking nonsense. This sounds a bit like Throne of Glass in that it's about an assassin and there's a Fae fire prince. It sounds as though there may be a bit of a mystery as well because it's talking about children disappearing from her home and the main character Scarlet has to go and save them. So I think this was originally indie published or self-published, and then it was picked up by a publisher and they're releasing a book every couple of months or something. It looks like there are 5 books and a novella in this series, so I hope I like it. I don't have like super high hopes, but I'm not really feeling hesitant about it or anything. I feel like this is one that I could enjoy, especially if I'm into the really fast-paced fantasy books that I was just talking about. I think this is a good time to read this one. And then the last series on my list is A Marvelous Light, and this is actually the first book in like a companion series. And I don't know what it's about, other than it's historical fantasy of some sorts. I think there's like a secret club or something for magical people, and it's quite short. I know people who love this series and it's one that I really want to get into, so that's why I've put it on the list. And speaking of series, I also have one that I would like to finish off in March because I am trying my best to finish off some series. It's not going too well. In fact, I'm just starting series at this point, but to be honest, I don't really care. It's just nice to have a goal sometimes. So the book that I have picked out is Wisteria because again, fast-paced YA, although kind of this is more new adult, I would say. Fantasy series, I love the first book in this series. Belladonna is absolutely fantastic. It's kind of gothic fantasy with some mystery as well. And the second book was good. It didn't like stick with me as much as the first book did. I loved the first book and the second book was just, you know, very good. So I'm looking forward to finishing off this series and deciding if I want to pre-order the holiday novella, which is coming out in September. I don't normally love novellas unless I love the characters, so this book is going to be the deciding factor for me. I love the UK covers of this. The US one, or the US versions, are just not as stunning, so this is exactly my kind of cover. I do prefer the purple of the earlier books in the series, but look at that fox and the way the rabbit's drawn, and it's wonderful. So I'm going to finish off this series, I hope, and display them on my shelf forever because it's a really good series so far. I've also picked out The Deep Sky. This isn't a series, this is a sci-fi standalone book. This was the author's debut as well, but since then they have released 1 or 2 more books. I know they've definitely released 1. I don't know if their 3rd book is out yet. So it says on the back here is the eve of Earth's collapse. One ship carries humanity's last hope, 80 elite individuals who will birth a generation in space, but halfway to a new planet, a bomb kills 3 crew members. This book does have mixed reviews. I don't know many people who absolutely love it, but I know people who have enjoyed it. But to be honest, it does sound just like my kind of thing, like a space kind of thriller sort of vibe. Even though it may not be very fast-paced or thrilling, I'm not sure. I think I really enjoy the sound of it and the concept, so I would like to give this one a go in March. And then I've picked out 2 more like thrillery mystery kind of books because I think they're going to be fast-paced. The first one is The Break. This one is about an Indigenous woman who is murdered in Canada, I think. And it says here that it talks about the lived reality of people pushed out to the coldest edges of modern Canada. So it's also going to be like a snowy, cold murder mystery sort of thing. And I really enjoy that. So I figure March would be a really good time to read this because it's just going to start to get warmer and I want to read this while it's cold and grim outside, just to really get into the setting and the vibe. I've not really heard anyone talk about this one. I just picked this up because it was recommended to me either on Goodreads or on Amazon when I was looking for like related books on my wish list. So yeah, if you've read this one, let me know what you think. I have no idea what to expect, to be honest, but it does sound good. And then the final book, I think. Yes, the final book in this TBR is The Last House on Needless Street. I haven't historically been very good with Catriona Ward's books. I haven't really clicked with her writing style. I've seen her at so many events and I've tried so hard because I love the way that she describes her books and I love seeing her interact with other authors that I enjoy. But a lot of her books that I've tried haven't really hit with me. So I'm giving this one a go because it is her most well-received book, I believe. And if this one doesn't do it, then I just know that she's not an author for me, which is fine, it happens. But I just really want to join in with the hype on this one. And I'm not sure entirely what this is about other than there's some sort of murder and there's a cat, I think. That's all I've heard and I've been told to go into it not really knowing anything, which is fine, it intrigues me. It says here that it's a story about Ted who lives with his young daughter Lauren and his cat Olivia in a house on a street. And that's literally all I know. So I'm gonna give this a go. We will see if I end up enjoying it. Like I said, I really hope that I do. And if not, I will just have to cry. And feel really left out. So those are the books that I am hoping to read in March. Again, as I said in the beginning, I may change my mind. Depends what's going on in March for me. My 28 books in 28 days challenge so far is going really well. There's still quite a few days left in February, so I've got a lot of time still to go. And it's really helping me kind of get into the zone and into the reading mood and stay there, because having a challenge to focus like this throughout the month is really helping me stick to it. Instead of just mood reading when I feel like it, I'm like, I have to read right now to meet my challenge, and that's making it really fun for me. I know that might stress a lot of people out, but it doesn't stress me out. I quite like it. And I'm finding, again, I'll talk about this in my February wrap up, but I am finding that if I want to skip a day of reading, that's fine. But then the following day, I get so into it and like hyper focused on the books because I really want to read them. So I hope that I can read all of these if I'm in the mood for them, or I can read some of the ones behind me because I have so many books on my TBR that I would like to get to. Content wise, I don't really know what I'm doing in March. I have a lot of recaps to film, including my Onyx Storm recap, but I don't really know what else I want to do. I was considering doing some reading vlogs, but I haven't done any yet because I've been so focused just on reading, and I'm not good at vlogging at the best of times, so I really need to have some time to focus. I've also been a little bit ill in February. My video recording schedule is all thrown off, so let me know if there are any particular videos that you'd like to see from me in the coming weeks, because yeah, I'm a bit stuck content wise at the moment, I think, especially because work is so busy. I get some of these good ideas but then I can't execute them, and then it just makes me sad because I don't have enough time. I do want to do a couple of reading vlogs. I do need to finish off my January new releases reading vlog where I've read 3 new releases that came out in January, and then get started on my February one, and then I don't know. So we'll see. I was considering doing maybe some weekly reading updates like Friday reads, or just one on Sunday or something. So maybe I could introduce that in March and see how that goes. That might be quite fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you're planning on reading in March in the comments below. If you don't have anything to say, leave a bumblebee emoji, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye.